So I'm going to go back to the home page by clicking that little button in the top menu bar. And in fact, I'm going to move on to the top menu bar right now. The top menu bar is very similar to what we just went over in the columns. It's just another area. Like I mentioned before, this website is fairly redundant in providing links to the same thing in different places because, you know, everyone develops their own style when they're surfing the website. So this top menu bar is very helpful because it gives you quick shortcuts to a lot of the most popular aspects of the library. The home button, of course, will always bring you back to this home page. This Books, Movies, and More tab is really good because okay, you might recognize these recommendation boxes from the home page, but when you drill down into Books, Movies, and More, this is the page where you're going to find recommendations for library materials, you know, like books, movies, musics. You're going to get a link to the library blog, which contains, you know, interesting information about programming or other events that are happening, or just library talk. There's stuff about book groups here, author events, One Book, One Chicago, which, does anybody know what the One Book, One Chicago program is? Okay. It's a program that the Chicago Public Library does twice a year where they promote a single book for everyone in Chicago to read together. So it's kind of like trying to create a citywide book club. And it's really fun, and I would encourage you to participate if the book looks interesting. But even if the book doesn't look interesting, participate because you might surprise yourself. Now, along the same lines, one of the most common questions in the library is, you know, what can I read next? Or what can I listen to next? What kind of movies should I get? Well, this page, the Books, Movies, and More page, is going to show you a lot of stuff like that. I mean, these are all book lists. These are national bestsellers in fiction and nonfiction. You can get the same for what people in Chicago are reading. These are all lists of award-winning books in different genres. See, sci-fi, fantasy, mysteries. Recommended titles by topic. And then, of course, these databases down here are grouped because they're all related to helping you find more materials. Okay? So, any questions so far? Anyone? Okay. Well, I'm gonna go back up to the top menu and go to the next little section here, the How Do I. Again, this is a very, very useful section of the website to become familiar with because this is the page that answers your questions. I mean, literally, this is a frequently asked questions section, which probably has most of the questions that you are wondering about and answers them. But it also has a lot of really great stuff on the side that you might not even realize that you want to know until you see it, like how do I volunteer at CPL, or how can I support the library, or basic stuff once you start getting into checking out materials, like how do I place a hold on materials, how do I renew them. You shouldn't need to know how to get a library card because you should all have a library card, but in case you want to tell someone who's moving out to Chicago to join you how to get a library card, that link is your friend. Okay. So, and again, all this stuff is on your handout. You can refer back to it. I'm going to skip over events and programs because that's fairly self-explanatory. Now, for kids and for teens are pages that are set up a lot like the home page, but they're designed specifically for those audiences. You know, so the links on this page all link to the kids catalog and the databases that are oriented towards kids. It's topics that kids might be interested in, like on the side to explore animals, holidays, famous people, the kind of stuff that kids are going to be interested in, or that they're going to need to know for their homework. Over here on the left, you can see there's a whole list list of links for parent resources, and that comes in very handy. You know, internet safety quiz. Maybe you or your friends have children with autism. This is a link to a great list of resources on autism. And the for teens page, very similar, but for teens, you know, so it's a little bit more mature, talking about the stuff that teens need to know, like choosing a college, applying to college, money smart, dating, sex. I mean, what teenager doesn't want to know about sex? Well, they can learn it at the public library, but it's all clean. When you click on that, it basically brings up a preset search of books related to sex ed. And if you're wondering how that search was constructed, just look on the left and you'll see right here in this box. So depending on how savvy you become, you can construct your own searches modeled on that one. All right. Now I'm going to go quickly to MyCPL. Now, if you can turn your handouts over, you're going to see that whole page is devoted to MyCPL. And essentially, MyCPL is your personal account at the Chicago Public Library. So when you applied for your library card, you supplied a bunch of personal information like your email address and your name and your address. And then they gave you a card with a number on it. So everyone get your library card out that has one. And click on the MyCPL link. Okay, everybody there? Now you see the box that says MyCPL login. Please log in with your library card number. It's the one that starts with D. And then put your zip code in, which you should remember from a few minutes ago. And log in. Okay, now because you guys are just starting, you probably don't have a lot up in this area. You probably don't have anything checked out or on hold or due or any fines. But you should see your personal information in there, and that lets you know that you're in your account. And so you can see that there's a link here to update that if you need to. And you can set your preferred library. So if you found your branch library earlier, you can now set it as your preferred library here. Clicking into any of these links brings up the MyCPL account detail, which just gives you more details in all of those sections. And again, this is all in the handout, which you can refer to later when you start trying it at home. Okay, so today, hopefully, you've all become familiar with how to find your branch library, how to log into CPL, and where to look on the home page, right here in the middle, in order to find the books and other materials that you want. Any questions? Okay.